Revenge on an unfaithful wife after her cheating. Jerry. Yes, dear. Would you come in here, please? Yes, dear. Right now. I pressed the stop button on the remote to stop the movie I was watching and then went upstairs to the bedroom. My wife, Ada, was lying on her side and caressing the body of the Hispanic man lying next to her. Roy just finished having sex and is thirsty. Could you get him something to drink? Yes, dear. What would you like, Ray? Just water. With ice? No, that won't be necessary. Okay, I'll have 1 glass of water now. And I headed for the bathroom. As I headed to the bathroom, I pondered, and not for the first time, about what makes people do the things they do. What makes people do things so out of character? Here I was, a man who considers himself a manly man, running around telling my wife, yes, dear, while waiting impatiently for the smirking asshole who was having sex with her. Is this what I expected to be like when Ada and I got married? Not at all. So why was I smiling and doing something that was so contrary to my nature? What was causing me to be everything I didn't want to be? Well, in my case, it was greed. Pure, unadulterated greed. I married Ada for her money. Ada had a very successful marriage when she graduated from college, and 10 years later, when her husband died in a car accident, Ada was very, very rich. She was very beautiful and attractive, but make no mistake about it, I would have pursued her if she had been very well fed and fat as a pig. She had money, and I had lived in poverty all my life, and I wouldn't let a little thing like looks get in my way. I graduated from college with a degree in business management and went to work, but I wasn't making money fast enough. I went to college on a scholarship, but still had to take out student loans to survive, and there never seemed to be any money left to live and pay off loans. I was looking for ways to increase my income, and a friend suggested I make some extra money with a fight club. I was doing quite well in Golden Gloves competitions and found that I could put on 2 or even 3 fights a week. I knew I wasn't good enough to get into the main event, but I was quite capable of performing in 3, 5, and 7-round preliminary fights. It was at one of these preliminary fights that I met Ada. She was in the front row with several of her girlfriends the night I fought Ripper Washington. I found out later that she was there on her own initiative. Anyway, I happened to look over and saw her looking up at me. I winked at her and gave her a thumbs up, and she laughed and waved and smiled broadly at me. Ripper was a big Hispanic man, built like a tank, and they said he was an asshole. No fancy moves, just go at you and wear you down until you're tired, and then he'd nail you. The bell rang for the first round. I jumped out and met Ripper in the center of the ring, and my first punch was a left jab that slipped past his defense and hit him in the chin. It was a lucky punch, and I knew it. But it was a lucky punch that stunned him enough that he lost his defense, and a right cross sent him into a knockout. I met him 6 months later in a 5-round preliminary fight, and he almost killed me. I danced around the ring with my hands in the air and saw Ada jumping and cheering. An hour later, coming out of the locker room, I found her waiting for me, again on a bet. And I offered her a cup of coffee with me. She agreed, and soon we were dating and seemed to be getting along quite well. Then I found out she was rich, and I gave her a complete beatdown. 9 months later, we were married and lived happily ever after. The happy life lasted 2 years, 4 months, and 18 days. One evening, I came home and saw Ada getting dressed to go outside. "Are we going somewhere?" "Not us, just me," she replied as she put on her panties and fastened them around her garter belt. "What's the occasion?" "I need a change," she said. "Change what?" Donning a little black cocktail dress, she said, "We've been married for almost 2.5 years. "Yeah, about that." "Well, I think it's time to try another man." "What?" "I'm going out tonight to look for something weird. If I find something I like, I'll probably bring it home with me, so you'll have to sleep in one of the spare bedrooms tonight." She looked at me and said, "Shut your mouth, dear, before you catch flies. Don't worry, dear, I'm not leaving you. I am happy in our marriage and happy with you, but tonight I want to have sex with another man. Don't wait up for me and don't forget to spend the night in one of the spare bedrooms." She turned and walked out of the room, down the stairs and out into the attached garage, and a few minutes later her BMW was off down the driveway, and I stood stunned in the bedroom. Despite her telling me not to wait, I was already up when she got home. How? Did she expect me to be able to sleep after she had planted a bomb in me? I heard the garage door opener start up and looked out the window to see her BMW pulling up to the driveway, followed by another car. I was standing in the kitchen when Ada walked through the door leading out of the garage. She saw me and shrugged. "It would be better for you if you were in the spare bedroom right now, but if that's the way you want it to be, so be it." She headed for the front door, but then stopped and turned to me. "Your position in this house and in this marriage is safe as long as you don't do anything stupid. When I let Dave in, I'll introduce you, you'll smile and shake his hand, and then you can come over and watch. I don't care. If you can't handle it or make a scene, you can pack your bags and get out, and my lawyers will contact you. Understand?" I just stood there, not realizing what was going on, and she said with a steely note in her voice, I said, "Do you understand?" I dazedly shook my head, yes. "Good. Now either get ready to meet Dave or run to the spare bedroom." I don't know why I followed her. Probably because I didn't really believe what was happening. Maybe it was some kind of joke, a test or something. I was 3 steps away from Ada when she opened the door and let the man in. I was surprised to see he was Hispanic. "Dave, this is my husband Jerry. Jerry, this is Dave, and he's going to take your place in our bed tonight." Dave gave me a ridiculous grin and held out his hand. I was dazed and shook it. "While you're up, dear, could you make us a couple drinks and bring them to the bedroom? I'll drink my usual and Dave will have a scotch on the rocks, Dewar's if we have it. Come on, Dave, I'll show you the game room." And the two of them walked away, leaving me standing still. I was seething with anger. I wanted to smash something. I wanted to smash Dave's mouth. I wanted to take a belt and beat Ade's body until it bled. That's exactly what I wanted to do, but what I did was prepare the drinks, set them out to sample, and carried them upstairs. Dave was sitting on the edge of the bed with his pants down to his ankles, and Ada was standing in front of him. When I entered the room, Ada said, "Put the drinks on the bedside table and run along, darling. I'll see you in the morning." I was dismissed and told to get out. As I walked out of my bedroom into one of the spare bedrooms, I had many thoughts. The main thought was what I was going to do with my new position. I knew the answer to that question before it was even fully formed. Nothing. I'm not going to do anything. I would do absolutely nothing but smile and be patient. Ada controlled the purse and held it very tightly. I couldn't complain because Ada wouldn't deny me anything. If I wanted it, I got it. I wanted a house with a lot, a pool, and a tennis court, and Ada went and found it and bought it. I wanted a Corvette, and Ada went out and got me one. Country club membership? No problem. A week in Aspen? Mention it and the tickets would be on the table in my room when I got home from work and the lodge was already booked. I didn't need anything. Ada showered me with jewelry, clothes, sports equipment, and even made sure the balance in my checking account never dipped below $5,000. And that's not counting my own paycheck. I tried to give it to Ada to top up the house account, but she wouldn't take it. "Put it in Jerry's savings bank or invest it. You earned them. You keep them." She spoiled me, but she wasn't stupid. Before I got married, I had to sign a prenup. If I divorced her, I got nothing. If she divorced me before the marriage had lasted 10 years, I received a lump sum payment of $100,000. After 10 years, I got another $20,000 for each year beyond 10. No, Ada could punch me in the face and I would still smile and accept it. I didn't realize it, but I accepted it. The reason I didn't realize it was because Ada and I had what I thought was a very good sex life. Every night a week was not uncommon, though it was probably only 5 nights a week on average, and we did it all. Other than that, I really loved Ada. I know it was her money that made me pursue her, but by the time we got married, I really liked her, and it turned into love. What went wrong? I probably should have chosen a room away from the one that used to be my bedroom, because for the next few hours all I could hear was the screaming and crying that Ada made with me. Finally, I fell asleep, but it was a very sound sleep. I woke up to hear a car door slamming. I got up, looked out the window, and saw Dave's car pulling away from the road. I looked at the clock and saw that it was 4 in the morning. I considered going back into the bedroom to try and talk to Ada, but then I said, "No," and went back to bed. The morning brought another surprise. I don't know what I expected when I woke up, but it certainly wasn't Ada who climbed into bed with me and laid down as if the night before had never happened. She hadn't washed up before coming on top of me, and I wondered if this was another way to rub my nose in her infidelity. As if reading my mind, she said, "Can you feel it, Jerry? No matter how good he is, you're still my man. You're going to share a lot of times with me from now on, but you're still my man." I didn't say a word to Ada. I made love to her, and then got out of bed and took a shower, and then did my daily 25 laps in the pool. Once I was done with that, I went into the house, put the coffee pot on, and was sitting at the table sipping coffee and reading the morning paper when Ada walked into the kitchen. I ignored her, and after a few moments of silence, she said, "You're a grown man, Jerry. It doesn't suit you to act like a frustrated child." Upset is not what Ada needs. I don't have anything to say right now. I'll keep my mouth shut until you see fit to explain what game you're playing. No game, Jerry. I've simply decided that I want to have sex with other men from now on. You don't have to put up with it if you don't want to. Just pack your things and leave. But there's a reason I said you'd stay my main man if you wanted to. You'll just have to get used to sharing me. That's it? Get used to sharing you or leave? In a nutshell, Jerry, it is. I shared with her, but I never got used to it. For the next 6 months, on average twice a week, Ada asked me to sleep in the spare bedroom while she entertained herself in our bedroom. I never figured out why, but the men she always brought home were Hispanic. The first couple times I made sure I was in the spare bedroom was when she came home with her evening boyfriend. The next morning she would climb into bed with me and describe her evening. Then apparently she decided that she wasn't poking me in the nose hard enough with her cheating. She started telling me to wait for her, that she wanted me to meet her lovers, and from then on I started waiting for them, bringing them drinks and snacks, and in one case even sending one of them to me to ask if he could borrow one of my contraceptives. A dozen times I almost told Ada to go away, but then I would look out the window at the pool and tennis courts, think about all the material goods Ada provided, pull myself together, and just keep being a good horny husband. I picked up a glass of water and carried it into the bedroom, and as I held it out to the grinning asshole, something inside me clicked. It was like a switch had been flipped, and everything was suddenly different, completely different. I wish I could say I shoved the glass down my lover's throat, but I didn't. I handed him the glass. He said, "Thank you," and I said, "You're welcome," and left the room. In the morning, I wasn't in the spare bedroom. In fact, I wasn't in the house at all. I got home at 5 o'clock in the evening to a very angry Ada. "Where have you been?" "Taking care of business." "What kind of business?" "Well, let's see what we have here." And I opened my briefcase. I pulled out some papers and started holding them out to her. "Here's a check for the last $5,000 you deposited into my checking account. Do you know they were upset when I closed the account? They asked me if you knew I did it. Here's the title to the Corvette. I signed the back. Maybe you should give it to last night's lover. He looks like a guy who might be happy at the vet." I rummaged through my briefcase. "Let's see what else I have here. Here, this is for you." And I pulled out a key ring. One by one I took them off the ring and put them on the table, saying, "The house keys, the keys to the Veta. This one is for the locker at the country club. It holds the clubs you gave me for my birthday, and I'm sure one of your lovers will want to get hold of them. And last but not least, what you've been showing me for the past 6 months is this." I took the wedding ring off my finger and tossed it on the table. A horn sounded outside, and I said, "My cab is here." I'll text you when I find a place to stop so you know where to send the papers. I got up and headed for the door when Ada yelled out to me, "Jerry, come back here. You have to come back here right now." I ignored her and then walked out the front door and disappeared. It was halfway through the third round when a right jab made me stagger and I fell to my knees. I was leading by a count of 7, which, come to think of it, was a very bad move on my part. I still had double vision when he moved in on me, and I never saw the punch that sent me into a knockout. I came to my senses in the locker room, and I thought I heard a familiar voice say, "Is he going to be okay?" "He'll be fine. There will be double vision for a while and maybe a little nausea, but no other ill effects." Thank goodness. I was afraid, judging by the way he fell, he was pretty badly hurt. A grin, and then, "That's the price he pays for his amusement. When can I take him home?" "I thought he lived alone." "Not anymore, if I can help it." It slowly came to me that the voice belonged to Ada. What was she doing here? I'd cut her out of my life 6 months ago. The smell of the smelling salts being shoved under my nose almost made me sit up. I looked around the room and saw Doc Jeffers and Ada. "You really got to get out of this business, Jerry," Doc said. "You're getting a little past your prime." "Gotta pay the rent, Doc." "Never mind. I'll be off. No fights for 2 weeks, and I really wish you wouldn't have any at all." As the door closed behind him, I looked at Ada and asked, "What are you doing here?" "I came to take you home." "How are you going to do that? You don't even know where I live." "Of course I do. I sit in front of the house every night and try to work up the courage to walk up and ring your doorbell." "What? It takes more courage to ring the doorbell than it does to drag men in front of you and then have sex with them." She turned away from me and replied in a timid voice, "Yes. Yes. It is required." "Why do you want to ring my doorbell anyway?" "So I can talk to you, to try to talk you into coming home." "This motel is not my home." "Then we'll sell it and buy another." "Go away, Ada. I've cut you out of my life. It's been 6 months now, and I'm doing just fine." "I haven't." "What hasn't worked out?" "Haven't been coping. I haven't slept well since you left. I have trouble eating, and my nerves are on edge." "Sex is supposed to help all those things, and as I recall, you brought quite a bit of that home with you." "I haven't had a man in my life since the day you left." I'm sure the look on my face said, "Yeah, right." "I'm serious, Jerry. There hasn't been a man in my life since the day you left me, and you were the only man in my life when you were there." I laughed out loud when I heard that, and she replied, "No, Jerry, seriously. You were the only man in my life. The others were just tools." "Tools?" "Yes. They were all things I used because I was stupid." "You lost me. I started thinking that you didn't love me, and that you only married me for my money. I thought about it so much that I convinced myself that I needed to figure it out. So I decided to do something that would show me that I was wrong. I decided I had to do something so out of the ordinary that you would have to do something about it if you loved me. If you didn't love me and were only with me for the money, you would have just turned your back and let me walk away rather than risk a fight that would end our relationship. That first time, you should have thrown Dave out or taken your clothes and left, but you shouldn't have let me get away with it. When you let me take Dave to our bedroom, it broke my heart. When you let him have sex with me and you were still around the next day, I realized you didn't love me. Only my money. After Dave, the others were just my way of showing you how disgusted I was with you, and I even made sure they were all Latino to piss you off even more. Then you dumped me, and I learned something I didn't realize. I realized that it didn't matter that you didn't love me and only wanted me for my money, for what I had. I realized that I love you and I can't live without you. Since you left, I can't live without you. I spend all my time following you. I've attended every fight you've had, sitting in the back where you couldn't see me. I sat outside your apartment. I even rented an office across the street from yours, and from my office window I can look down on yours and I sit there and watch you all day long. I can't live without you, Jerry. I don't care if you don't truly love me. I need you, Jerry. I need you. I'm not completely stupid, and even though it wasn't true, I knew what to say. I didn't stay in this whole madhouse because of your money, Ada. I stayed because I loved you and hoped that everything you did would weatherize out of your system. In the end, I couldn't take it anymore. It was obvious you didn't love me or you wouldn't have been able to do to me what you did. So I did the only thing I could do and left, seeing no reason to talk to you now. You make your bed, Ada, lie in it, and leave me alone. Please, Jerry, please. We can work this out. I know we can. Please, Jerry, please come home with me. There was no doubt in my mind that I would let myself be talked into it, but I wanted to be a little rough and rub her nose in it a little. If she didn't agree, I could back off, but I wanted to see how desperate she was to get me back. You hurt me, Ada. You have no idea how much it hurt me when you put me through what I went through. I can't imagine being with you again if I don't give you a taste of what you did to me. Who's your best girlfriend? Probably Linda Meyer. Is that the redhead whose husband is a dentist? Yeah. Okay, Ada, here's the deal. I want you to bring Linda into our bedroom just like you brought all these men in. Then I want you to stand there and watch me have sex with Linda, just like I had to stand there and watch you. I want you to serve Linda and me snacks and drinks just like you made me do. I'm not going to have sex with as many women as you've had men, but I'm going to do it. I can't do that. She's happily married. She has 3 kids. I don't care, Ada. You want me back and I want revenge. Do it or get used to not having me around. In the meantime, just leave me alone. That was 2 weeks ago, and I honestly didn't expect it to happen. But I wanted to make Ada sweat and suffer a little. I expected her to come back in a week or 2 and tell me it just couldn't be done, and then beg and plead some more. Ada just called me. You can come home tonight, Jerry. Linda will be here at 7, but there's a slight complication. She'll only agree to do that if I agree to spend the night with her husband next week. So what's the problem? I'm your wife, Jerry. I'm trying to reconnect us. How can I do that if I'm having sex with another man? Ada, you've been a cheater for 6 months. So what's one more time for you? There was silence on the other end of the line, and then, tell me to do it, Jerry. If you tell me to do it, I won't cheat on you. How can you cheat on me when we're not even together, Ada? I told you what you have to do for me to even consider coming back to you. Make up your own mind, Ada, and then let me know. And I hung up. She called me back 10 minutes later. Okay, Jerry, I'll have sex with him. Just come home tonight, baby. Please just come home. Look on the bright side, Ada. At least you'll be making love to another man for a change. And I burst into laughter as I hung up the phone. The end. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.